I will tell you the secret of how Tyler1 reached the elo of 1800 on chess.com. And just 8 months ago, he was rated 199. How on earth did this guy go from screaming "The Rook" to reaching a strength that only 1.4% of people have? I have analyzed every atom of Tyler's account, and I have the perfect recipe for you to boost your rating just like he did.
Chess is not hard at all, and 99% of these people have been playing since they were literally birthed. Dude, that's what I'm saying. I'm sorry, if you're not Grandmaster and you've been playing chess since you were 3, I'm sorry, bro. And I'm gonna say this harshly, your life has no value. Okay? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
The last tip is the most important one, so make sure to stay till the end. Number 1, the most obvious one. He plays a lot, at least 13 rapid games per day on average. There have been days where he played 61 rapid games. I'm gonna say that one more time. 61 games of 20 minutes per game. That is a total of 20 hours calculating lines. How does your brain not explode after that?
I was up for like 24 hours straight yesterday playing. No breaks, no rest, didn't go for a walk, didn't go outside. Playing 24 consecutive hours.
Well, you can't get better at something if you just pray to get better. You have to get your hands dirty to develop muscle memory and pattern recognition skills. Although I do not recommend spending more than 8 hours a day playing or studying chess.
It's all pattern recognition, bro. But how many games do you have to play to get to that level?
Number 2, you know it's coming, puzzles. Believe it or not, this guy is higher rated than super grandmasters like Fabiano Caruana, Alireza Firouzja, and many 2600 FIDE rated grandmasters. He has spent over 162 hours training puzzles. It only took him 5 seconds to solve a 3000 rated puzzle. And boy, am I gonna explain that puzzle to you. It is black to move in this position, and the first thing to notice is that the king on f4 is 100% trapped. So if we just give a check, that would be checkmate. The very obvious idea would be to go rook to e7 followed by rook to e4, and that would be checkmate. But after rook to e7, now white can go pawn to f3, stopping rook to e4. So the first move is actually the brilliant sacrifice, rook takes f2, removing the f pawn, and now rook to e7 followed by rook to e4 is unstoppable. And just in case you forgot, he found this in 5 seconds. That is just mind-blowing. Number 3, and this is the most important one. Notice how we see this accuracy number in every single game of Tyler's archive. Not many people know this, but this means that right after the game was over, Tyler went into the game review to analyze the game. Now we will go to my profile. As you can see, we get the option to analyze the game instead of the accuracy number. And just after I have analyzed the whole game, it will give me the accuracy number. Most people will spend their time chasing the adrenaline that is caused by the speed of a bullet game. And just after the game is over, your heart is pumping and you're breathing heavily. You will say the magic words, "I want more." And just as any other addiction, it happens when you have a strong physical or psychological urge to do something. And you will do it over and over again without analyzing a single game. Because you're not looking for improvement, you are looking for excitement.
Holy shit.
Analyzing your games is so crucial because you're learning from your mistakes, which will cause a tiny but immediate improvement in your very next game. And if you do this 1,000 times, you will have narrowed down a wide range of errors, and you will notice a big difference in your games and, of course, in your rating. And just as a little bonus, we're gonna check one of Tyler's games. Yes, it is nighttime right now. It's been a couple hours. I was out playing a soccer game. I'm all dirty. Boy, am I bad at soccer. I should probably stick to chess. But we're gonna check one of Tyler's games. We're gonna see how he's calculating. And in this game, he played against a 1700. But in the accuracy of the game, he played like a 2150. That's pretty good. All right, so Tyler, with the white pieces, we get a cow opening. In case you don't know, this is a very recent opening that was brought by our beloved Anna Kramling. And bishop to e2, Tyler is preparing to castle, knight to c6, and pawn to b3. He wants to fianchetto the bishop via b2. Opponent wants to do the same thing, pawn to b6, bishop b2, and bishop to b7. Now Tyler finally castles, and we get pawn to e5 by his opponent, getting some space in the center. Pawn to e4 by Tyler, and pawn to d4 by his opponent. Every time you push a pawn, you leave a weakness behind. In this case, the weakness is the c4 square, and Tyler does not hesitate. He goes knight to c4, attacking the bishop on d6, knight to d7, and knight takes bishop. Pawn takes bishop, and now a very general idea in these positions when you have this pawn structure is to go pawn to f4, open up the f file for the rook, bring a knight to f5, putting pressure on the pawn on d6, the pawn on g7, and that will be checkmate very soon. But instead, Tyler goes bishop to c1, preparing f4 even more. You know, I like that. Pawn to f4, if you take with the pawn, I'll take back with the bishop, putting pressure directly on the pawn on d6, then knight to f5, putting even more pressure on that pawn. And this is a little bit slower, but it also works. And now his opponent goes bishop to c8. And I don't know, I have no idea why chess.com is not putting this as an inaccuracy. I have no idea how this move works. You're bringing your bishop back, and where is it going? I see no squares. If you go to e6, all right, just because you put a piece in the middle doesn't mean it's better. If you go to e6, where is it even pointing? And now f4 is suddenly even stronger because now I'm threatening pawn to f5. So now you really have to take the pawn and opening up the f file for my rook. That's fine, bishop c8, it's not the end of the world. Now Tyler goes pawn to f4, we get pawn to g6, and that is a very bad defensive idea. Are you really defending pawn to f5? Are you really gonna take my pawn? Because you would be opening up the whole g file in front of your king. So pawn to g6 is not really stopping anything. In fact, Tyler goes directly pawn to f5, and he doesn't take it, of course. Knight to f6 and bishop to g5, pitting this knight to the queen. And now his opponent goes knight to b8, and he has, ladies and gentlemen, officially undeveloped everything on the queen side. He went forward with the bishop b7. Now you know what, let's go back. Knight to c6, I don't like that. He went forward and then he went backwards, just resetting the pieces on the board for the next players. But alright, now we get bishop to g4. Of course, you cannot take that bishop because your queen would fall. Knight b to d7, defending the knight on f6. And now we get bishop to h3 by Tyler. Queen to e8, very smart, getting the queen out of the pin of this knight. But the very problem is the queen is now blocking the escape of the rook. And now Tyler finds the beautiful bishop to h6. And now the rook on f8 is completely trapped. You can't move that anywhere. Now bishop to b7. What? Bruh, you just wasted 2 tempos. You just gave your opponent 2 free time. You said, you know what? In this turn, don't move once. Move twice. I won't do anything. That is what wasting a tempo means. He's just dancing around with the bishop like he's proud that he knows how the bishop moves. Now we get bishop takes f8 by Tyler. Queen takes back. Pawn takes g6 and pawn takes g6. Now bishop takes d7 and now his opponent takes with the knight. Queen to g4 and... What? Bro, I swear to God, I'm gonna cry. Holy shit. I'm not even gonna comment on that. Bro, what are you doing? Stop giving free tempos to your opponent. All right, now Tyler goes queen to g5, getting out of this who knows what. King to g7 and knight to f5 by Tyler. Of course, you're gonna take the knight because that is pinned by the queen. King to h8 and now Tyler goes queen to h4. And all right, I understand that Tyler may not understand this idea just yet, even though he has had a massive progress. He's been playing for less than a year, so maybe he's not too familiar with the rook lift concept. But the idea is that you open up the f-file to bring the rook into the game, so don't be afraid to lift your rook and just go for checkmate. That's totally fine. Queen to h4 is not bad. King to g8 and knight to h6 with a check. The king goes back to g7, and now Tyler says, you know what, let me just make things very easy for me. Let me just grab your queen. Rook takes f7 check, queen takes f7, and knight takes back. King takes f7, rook to f1 check, king g7, and now the king is running all over the board. Queen to e7, king to h6, and now it's just a matter of finding the fastest checkmate. Tyler goes rook to f3, beautiful, we got the rook lift. And now going for this very easy and beautiful idea of rook to h3, that will be checkmate. Opponent goes knight to c5, and just before you rush into this beautiful checkmate idea, remember that the knight now moved, and now this diagonal is completely available and open for the bishop. Now h3 is not a good checkmate pattern. Queen to h4, king to g7, and the queen goes to f6 now. King to h6, and now you could go for the very easy idea, rook to g3, and this is just game over. But Tyler goes queen to h8 check, king to g5, and pawn to g3, threatening queen to h4 checkmate. The only way to stop that would be to go king to g4, attacking the rook. But after king to g2, defending the rook. Now you could go pawn to g5, and now you're stopping this checkmate idea. But the king right here is enabling this checkmate idea. In the game, his opponent went bishop to e6, and now Tyler, in less than 1 second, found queen to h4 checkmate. Tyler is a very positional guy, but if he becomes like 5% more aggressive, he will easily become 2000 by the end of this year. Like going pawn to f4 directly instead of over preparing it with bishop to c1. Giving your opponent too many hints of what your plan is usually not a good sign. But this time it worked out, so it doesn't matter. And once again, if you liked the video, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notifications, and I will see you tomorrow in the next game.